Our story today returns us back to Jacob and Esau. We see that they're going to come back together, and Jacob is going to need to own up to the past, own up to the fact that he has been a deceiver and that he didn't treat his brother right, and that there's this reckoning that's coming to him that's not coming quite yet. Even though Jacob knows that this is about to happen, he has this moment with God first, two moments actually. In the first one, he basically goes back to God and says, listen, you've told me all of these things are going to happen, so please continue to help me. And that prayer goes like this, in 32 verse 9. Then Jacob prayed, O God of my father Abraham, God of my father Isaac, Lord, you have said to me, go back to your country and your relatives, and I will make you prosper. I am unworthy of all the kindness and faithfulness you have shown to your servant. I had only my staff. He's not talking about like an office staff. He's talking about like Moses' staff. I only had my staff when I crossed this Jordan, but now I've become two camps. Meaning he had a lot of possessions, he had a lot of children, two wives, great amount of wealth. He says, save me, I pray, from the hand of my brother Esau, for I'm afraid that he will come and attack me, and also the mothers of my children. But you have said, I will surely make you prosper and make your descendants like the sand of the seashore, or the sand of the sea, which cannot be counted. And he spent the night there. So we see Jacob has actually definitely built up this relationship with the Lord where he's saying, listen, you told me that all these things were going to happen, but I'm about to meet up with Esau because I need to go back to the land. You've told me to go back, but that's where Esau is, and I'm willing to go there and to be obedient, just like Abram had to be. But we got to deal with the past, and we've got to deal with Esau, so you have to help me. And then we see this really interesting story where God comes down at night and wrestles with Jacob. And again, it's one of those stories where we could actually spend hours talking about it, going into every little detail. But I'm just going to share this one little takeaway. Listen, there are times when we have to wrestle with God before we wrestle with man. We have to own up to who we are. And we see in this encounter while Jacob and God are wrestling that God actually says, your name is no longer Jacob, it's now Israel. God changes his name from Jacob, which meant deceiver, to Israel. He owned up to his past, and then God is giving him a new future. And what is it that we call the people of God? The Israelites. And it comes from this place, and it comes from this name change. It comes from this man. And in the rest of the reading, we actually see that Jacob and Esau do reconcile. There's great humility on Jacob's part. He owns the past, which he needs to do. But God does what he promised. He brings them back together, and he does make Israel, Jacob, prosper. But I think what had to happen first was Jacob had to have this encounter with God where God worked out this flaw that he had. And Jacob had to fight with God. Now, we don't actually arm wrestle Jesus or anything like that, but I do know in my own life there's been plenty of times where I feel like I'm actually going to go up against another person, or I've got this conflict with a man or woman, with an individual, and the truth is I actually need to settle something in my own heart first before I go to that person. I think it's a really important lesson that we can all learn, is to make sure that you're right before the Lord and make sure that you are actually acting right. And if not, then you got to figure that out with him. You got to figure that out with God, and then actually make it right with people. Go ahead and, if you've done wrong, go with great humility and apologize and make it right to the best of your ability. And remember that God had promised, I'm going to be with you. Go, and I will show you. Go back. I've got this. But I need you, Jacob, Israel, to do your part and to own it. That's today's lesson.